do is we're going to start by saying thank you for everybody for coming. And we especially are thankful to Sony Pictures Entertainment, who has sponsored this workshop. And we couldn't do the Career Expo without our sponsors. So we're really appreciative of everybody. And to make it easier and to move along so that everybody gets introduced, I'm going to ask our panelists to introduce yourselves. And so I'm starting with Brandi up in the top corner. So maybe we start with her and then we'll work our way around in a circle. Does that make sense? Kind of like ping pong it off each other. And just tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, company-wise. You can tell us where you went to school as well, and what you do, because we are in arts and entertainment, but everybody here has a just different aspect of it. So Brandi.
Hi, yes. My name is Brandi Nicole. I am originally from California. I'm from Pomona, California, so I'm from the IE. I have lived in a lot of places since then, so I'm currently living in Memphis, Tennessee, but thanks to Zoom, I am a TV writer, and I go to LA and Atlanta to perform when I get the opportunity to do so, and I create my own content through my production company, which is called Rainy Day Bliss, and I'm very excited to be here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Camille Schenkkan. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the Deputy Managing Director at Center Theater Group. Center Theater Group is one of the largest theaters in the United States. We are about a $65 million a year company. We operate 3 theaters, the Amundsen, the Mark Taper Forum, and the Kirk Douglas Theater. And I support the managing director around things like long-term planning, strategy. I work a lot on our anti-racism, equity, diversity, and inclusion work. And I oversee a few departments at CTG currently, including education and community partnerships, our operations department, and our response to the COVID crisis. And I've also worked in the small theater community, started as an actor, and then really discovered how much I absolutely love arts management. I recently published a book called Navigating a Career in Technical Theater, which I'm really excited about because I love mentorship and I love helping folks to pursue their career passions within the arts.
Hi, my name is Shonte Ojeda. I'm a recruiter for our interns, trainees, and financial rotational programs here at Sony Pictures Entertainment. I've been with the company for 3 years now and have been loving every minute of it. What excites me most about my role is just the constant connections I get to make with talent. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. I live close to CSUN, and I actually went to CSUN for school, majored in business management. And I'm super excited to be here today. So thank you for having me.
I think that's me. My name is Michaela Pereira, and many of you have likely spent the morning with me. I'm, as they tell me, a long-time news anchor and journalist on your television. I started out in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. Yes, I am Canadian. The 2 things you'll find out about me within 10 minutes of speaking with me is that I'm Canadian and that I'm adopted, 2 things I'm intensely proud of. I started my career in Canada, moved to San Francisco, moved to LA where I joined the morning show that you may have heard of, the KTLA Morning News. I was there for 9 years. I took a leap of faith and went to CNN for 3 years, then saw the error in my ways, came back to Los Angeles and the sunshine, the best coast, the West Coast. And I had my own show nationally called Michaela, the L-A, because you know where we're at. And then most recently, I was at the Good Day LA, a part of the Good Day LA team for Fox 11. I recently left there about a month ago to pursue my bliss. So stay tuned for what Michaela is doing next.
I was hoping that you were going to share with us what you were doing and we could get the scoop there. Okay, so again, we've kind of covered the fact that all 4 of you are very different parts of the industry. How did you, and I'm throwing out this to everybody, and you can either kind of tag team on each other or answer one at a time, however it works best. How did you get into that niche? When you graduated college, is this what you saw yourself doing?
I'll jump in. I was a theater major in college, so yes and no. I thought that I was going to go to New York and do Broadway. And in college, my senior year, I got pregnant and I thought that that would derail me. Thankfully, I had a lot of family support. And so instead I went to LA where my family could help me. And so that shifted gears, but I mentioned that specifically because I was in the position of feeling like, what am I going to do now? And sort of having to pivot. And I still have found myself ending up in a place where in some ways I always knew I'd be here, and in other ways this has happened in ways that I never could have expected. And it's been exciting and wonderful. And I can't emphasize enough how important it is to find your tribe and find your people, because they will help you and you will help them and you will grow together. So yeah, I always knew I wanted to do this, but I could not foresee the path that I took.
I can go next. I had no idea I wanted to be a recruiter, to be quite honest with you. I'm very personable. I'm a people person. I like helping others. And I figured human resources was the best route for me because I really do enjoy human interaction. I'm not that great with data. So I just figured I'd follow my strengths and become a recruiter where I can help talent navigate their career choices and the whole interview process and just be a viable resource. I love talking. I like making connections. So I figured that the recruitment area was the best place for me, to be quite honest with you. And yeah, that's kind of how I realized I wanted to be a recruiter.
Did you see yourself ending up in the entertainment industry, like at a Sony, like a huge organization?
I actually didn't, but I knew I wanted to either be in fashion, beauty, or entertainment. So I'm happy I landed one of the three. So it was always in my mind, I would say.
I'll jump in next because I think there's value in each of us sharing how we came to be where we are, because it's never a straight line. It is never guaranteed. I would put money on it. I call it the mouse route my life has taken. I started out with this idea that I wanted to be a translator for the UN. Yeah, it didn't happen. So life is going to throw curveballs your way, and what you do with it is the best part. That's where all the juicy stuff is. I started totally by accident. Someone tapped me on the shoulder and saw something in me and wanted to give me an opportunity. I parlayed that into thing after thing after thing. That's how I got my first job. You never know when opportunity is going to come your way. Gut check it, vet it, have trusted people you run it by, but be willing to take a chance on yourself. You'll never fail.
I love that so much. I think with the arts management side of things, a lot of my career has been around what information we don't share with people who are interested in the arts. And a lot of that is personal because if I look back at high school, the things that I was doing were arts management. And essentially the same thing that I'm doing now, but when I was with my high school drama club. But I didn't know that those were careers. I didn't know that that was a thing I could do to kind of merge business and arts. So I had an internship that changed my life at Circle X Theater Company. And one of the board members for Circle X is here because she's also on the board of Fulfillment Fund. So hi, Sarah Lang, I love you. Thank you for helping to change my life. But I think for all of you, and it's like other panelists are saying, this is such a journey, and it's not linear, and you don't know your perfect job yet. I promise you, you don't have the words, you don't have the context. It's there for you. Follow your passion, follow your curiosity. I believe so much in just encouraging you to think about what lights me up, what makes me curious, because that's in retrospect, I can see that I was always headed here, but it didn't feel like that at the time because I didn't have the words. I didn't understand what I was actually passionate about until I was actually introduced to the range of careers that are available.
And I heard from Brandi and you both. She talked about tribe, you talked about Sarah and mentors and interns. Is that important in any part of the industry that you're in? Is networking important? I mean, you guys talked about LinkedIn in the chat for a little bit. How important is finding that tribe or the mentor to help you on the right path? Because entertainment's huge.
Can I speak to both of those things? Because the fact is we can't do any of this alone. Didn't the pandemic show us that, right? We can't do this alone. I got my start because someone saw something in me that I didn't even see myself. And because of their belief in me, I leaned on them when I didn't believe in myself. That woman is still in my life. When I have big decisions, when I am at big turning points, I call her. And it's so funny because back then, She seemed like she had it all together. She was so sophisticated. You know, I realized the other day she's only 5 years older than me. But it was funny at the time, she just seemed like she had it all together. The other point that you mentioned about networking, it seemed so ominous to me, the idea of networking, and it would make my palms sweat. I'm a people person, but I'm also weirdly shy in new situations. So the idea of networking, I would get like, oh, my heart would pound. I'm really great, just like Shonte. I love people. I'm intensely curious about people. So I saw it as that and getting to know people rather than networking. And it was weird how that shift in the nomenclature, using a different word, made it hit more organically for me. And I was like, I can talk to people all day. And that's how you create tribe. That's how you create community. That's how you get people interested in your story. And you might find somebody that inspires you.
I'll piggyback off of that to say that one thing I wish I would have spent more time doing, because when I first started, I did start off as an actor, and now I have veered into TV writing being the focus, and I act when I want to, because I'm also a mom to 3 and they keep me busy. But one thing I wish when I was really focused on acting, I wish I would have networked across more instead of focusing on networking up, instead of focusing on trying to meet a casting director, trying to get this director to see me, trying to get chosen, really trying to get picked. I wish I would have focused on building those relationships with my peers, because I promise you, you do grow together. And there is just nothing like, what's the phrase? A rising tide lifts all boats, something like that. And it is just so true. It is just so true. So spend time cultivating relationships with your peers, because it will benefit all of you.
Definitely want to piggyback off that, Brandi, just because peers, even professors, you're all in school right now. Building that relationship with the professors definitely come in handy later on when it comes to just referrals or just letters of recommendation. So I would definitely say just practicing while you're in college, being in clubs and socializing, exercising that communication skill set, just because you're going to bring that into the business, into the organization that you land, and just being able to communicate with others. There's a lot of different personalities out there, different managers that you're going to be reporting to, different peers. So just exercising that early with your peers and professors is a great it's a great landing and great place to kind of jumpstart that, and just exercising that throughout the way that you end up in your career in.
Since the entertainment industry is known as a difficult industry to be in, the comment of trust the process gets thrown out there a lot. Would you trust the process, or is there little nooks and crannies that you now know that you wish you had known when you started? I guess we can also tie it into the best advice you've ever been given.
We've only got 45 minutes.
I'm
That's their chat. Those are questions from the chat.
it's a great,
Those are questions from chat.
it's a great question.
Yeah.
Look, I'm about to turn 39. And when I was first starting out, and it was this hustle culture, it was very much like women can have it all. I'm female identified, right? That's not true. So there are choices that you will make in your career. And it's not just women, it's everybody. I think that I'm also a parent of 2 small children. There are decision points that you will reach where you get to figure out, what is my heart leading me toward? What is my gut leading me toward? What is my brain leading me toward, right? The biggest thing to understand, which I think is really hard because we're fed this line in high school that like your college major is the end all be all, right? Somebody asked about an undecided college major. It doesn't matter that much. I promise you, it really doesn't. Like, take a breath of study. It doesn't matter that much. Your grades don't matter that much. I'm sorry, not in college or graduate school. They don't. What matters is your journey. And if you're going along your path, if you're being led by your curiosity, as everybody's saying, you're going to reach points in your career where you're like, I'm going to step back from this thing and I'm going to move forward toward that thing. That doesn't mean that other thing is gone. Like what Brandi's saying about like, she's found a balance in her life, or this is how I'm interpreting it, Brandi, of your writing and your acting. And part of that has to do with your family. And that's where you are right now. I think that's that's a part of it. That's a big thing, just to give yourself a lot of grace around that there is no right way. There's only your way. And choosing to do one thing for a while and then shift back is really normal. I think the statistics are at this point, people will have 5 to 7 separate careers, not jobs, careers in their life. And I fully believe that. It's not like my grandpa worked for the same company for 50 years. That's incredibly rare now. What is much more common is to let yourself grow and let yourself discover new things and really give yourself the chance to not feel like you're behind. You're not behind anybody. You're your own person and you're going to find your own path.
I can jump in with one little thing. I talk a lot, so just tell me to shut up. I really think that the entertainment biz, and I know we're using a really broad umbrella because this is the panel we're on, but it gets a bad rap. It gets a bad rap on purpose because it's sometimes a bad place, as we have seen in the headlines, as we've seen in the hashtags, as we've seen in the courtrooms. However, I believe, also agreeing what Camille said, is that we will be faced, if you choose these fields, if you live under this umbrella of entertainment, you will have to make sacrifices. You will be confronted face on with issues that will challenge you to your core. But if you know yourself and you have a moral compass, and if you have what my girlfriend Sunny Hostin from The View always tells me to do, is have an advisory board in your life, people that you can turn to, your ride or die, the folks that have got your back, that will speak truth to power when you are stuck in something. If you have those people around you to lift you up and to make sure that you are on the right path, you won't lose your way in this tough industry. And you can do it with love and grace and kindness. And it doesn't have to be the awful place that it is reputed and can often be. I'm evidence of it. It'll be 30 years for me next year in journalism. And I've got the stripes on my back, but you know what? They didn't take me down, and I'm still me, and I'm happy and I'm healthy. And I feel like I have a career that I can be very proud of.
I agree with what both of these ladies have said. And I will say that it has been really refreshing seeing the various movements that have popped up over these last few years. I mean, obviously, that's not like people have been fighting for equality, since the dawn of time, but it's been really nice to see change happening. Not as quickly as I'm sure we'd all like, but I am starting to see it, and I am choosing to hold on to that because there's nothing else I want to do. And what I mean by that is I am a creative. So even though it looks differently from year to year sometimes, I know that I want to be playing in this sandbox. And so trusting in the process, I will say it's very difficult when you're unemployed. Like a friend of mine, we both got staffed as TV writers. We both got our first job within a few months of each other. But the years leading up to that, hearing trust the process was like, I'm going to slap you if you say that to me, because we weren't in the space of like, we're not seeing the results, like, come on. And yet now, having now sat in that seat and been employed, I can look back and say that, even those times where like getting those rejections were so incredibly hard. And I wanted a job so bad, because we were still doing the work. We were making ourselves better writers and better storytellers. And then eventually, when that opportunity that we were the right person for, we could not be denied. And so, yes, as much as it can be frustrating to hear trust the process, you really do have to give in, and you have to keep doing the work and trust that the right work will find you.
Agreed. Since some of you have talked about it already, let's just kind of jump into what do you enjoy about your job? I mean, if you had to pick one thing, because there's probably tons, what would you say that this is on a more than just one day a week kind of thing you enjoy about it? Getting to meet people.
I definitely have to say the interactions, just being able to interact with people all over the nation at one point, because everything was remote. just having interaction, networking, making connections. It makes my day. It's why I've chosen my profession and why I'm happy where I'm at, just because I'm able to be a matchmaker for those in the job aspect and just helping those kind of navigate their career and giving advice, but also being a friend, but a professional recruiter and helping them along the way. So I would definitely say the connections and the daily interactions is my favorite part.
For
Brandi,
me,
how about you?
yeah, for me, it's that I get to play different characters because even in the writing world, I still get to pretend to be some, especially villains, because I don't have a record. I'm not that I'm squeaky clean, but my mother would kill me. So it's fun to get to play, to try on different things, and that is what I love it so much.
For me, it's the people. And I think if there are any theater folks out there, that is the answer that almost everybody gives, is that you want to be around this incredible, smart, creative, collaborative environment. So I will basically do anything to be around theater people because I love them so much and I love the art form. And I feel excited walking to work every day, because when I walk to work, I walk past our theaters, and I've been with the theater for 11 years, and I still get that feeling of like, oh my God, I work here. How cool.
I love that so much. I kind of want to come watch you walk to work one day.
Yeah.
For me, there's so many things I love about what I get to do, and I understand what rarefied air I'm in. I understand it. I'm invited to places, invited to talk with people. I'm invited into people's homes every morning while your hair's a mess, you're feeding the dog and you're making your lunch for the day. Like, I get it. But I think the thing that means the most to me, is that people see themselves in me. I have moms that stop me in the grocery store and say, my little girl saw you on TV and she has hair just like yours. And now she thinks that she has hair like the lady on TV. Representation matters. And as on the days when it's really hard for me, I remind myself that y'all see me, right? And me being there means something and it matters. And so I don't take that lightly at all.
I'm going to read one of the questions that came into the Q&A, which speaks to what Michaela, you had just talked about, and it's open to everybody. As somebody who's majoring in media studies at a predominantly white institution, and she's a woman of color, and she feels discouraged at times as being a creative in the space, is there a specific moment in your careers where you felt all of your doubts were proved wrong? Not right, but wrong. Regardless of whether it's because you're a female or a woman of color, or you're too tall, you're too short. I mean, just where you went to the wrong college or what have you.
I can speak to this. So my latest job that recently ended is for a TV show that deals with kids who are in juvenile detention is a part of it. And for a long time, again, as I mentioned earlier, because I was pregnant, I had a lot of regret that those theater dreams that I had were never realized. And when I got on this show, it was such a moment of like, oh my God, all of my different experiences, because I didn't mention this, but my mother was she's a retired juvenile detention officer. So her experiences, me growing up and hearing that, then I have other people on my dad's side of the family who have been to juvenile detention when they were kids. So those experiences of my cousins and my brother, there was and I went to an HBCU for college, which I loved, but there was still a part of me that was like, man, maybe I should have gone to a PWI and just majored in musical theater. And like, did I make the wrong choice? And when I got on this show, all of these different experiences that I had over this time that felt like, what am I doing with my life? I have been able to use it, because as a TV writer, for the students who may not know, honestly, writing is only about 20% of the job. 80% of the job is just sitting in a room talking about these characters and coming up with a story. and you bring a lot of your life experience into that room so that you can create authentic stories. And I was able to use a lot of that. And I had that first, and that was earlier this year. And I was like, oh, okay, this is why. So yes, it was, and to specifically, I guess, tie it back to that question, my bosses affirmed that, my white bosses affirmed that, and it was really needed. And so I hope it answers your question, whoever asked it.
If you were talking to someone interested in the field, which all your fields, all 4 of them, what would you suggest they begin? I mean, we already talked about networking and mentoring, but is there a place, especially if you're not majoring in it, which we've already covered, you don't have to.
Okay, so for me, I'm going to tell you to indulge your curiosity muse. I want you to read newspapers. I want you to read magazines. You know what my favorite thing to do is when I'm at the airport, I go in and buy random magazines, just random ones, and I read them on the plane, backwards to front, which is a weird thing I do. I want you to watch bizarre shows on television, not just, or on Netflix or whatever, Hulu, not just the ones that interest you and not just fantasy and what have you, like documentaries. Be hungry, be thirsty, ask people questions. You talked about exercising that muscle. You have to exercise that muscle. Now I'm talking about a news anchor. Now there's 1,000 fields in just who goes into making a newscast. An hour-long newscast has hundreds of people that are working: engineers, graphic designers, writers, producers, directors, camera operators, sound tech. There's thousands of them. If you're actually interested, reach out and find out, now that the COVID restrictions have lifted, ask for a tour of one of the local TV stations. If you can't get into a local TV station, go to one of the local access stations. Volunteer at one of them. See if your school has a media program that you can even volunteer in, or just go and help out in, or ask questions, stop by the professor's office and ask about it. You have to start investigating and being curious. That's the best way to start.
Shonte's nodding her head. Does Sony offer tours?
They do. We offer tours. And I would definitely say also being curious about internships definitely gives you a preview of the role that you think you want, but maybe isn't the role that you actually are happy with. I have a lot of different departments that I recruit for. So I see it all. I see IT saying, oh my God, I want to be a creative. I want to be in development. I want to be in comedy. That's where my passion is in. But they're a little bit further into their career and they can't just be an intern all over again because they're not in school anymore, but they can be a trainee, which kind of targets those that are graduated and are kind of looking into a full-time role, but they don't have that commitment yet because it's a 6-month program. But I can give you more information about our training internships, but definitely utilizing the internships is going to give you a preview of what you think you want. And you can jump around different internships, different departments, and kind of see what kind of fits the passion and your genuine, sorry, I'm kind of sick right now, so my throat's kind of doing its thing, but just seeing what you're genuinely interested in and kind of diving into that.
And something when you're in that large of a company, can you kind of direct, same thing with for Camille for CTG, if somebody wants a job either at the Amundsen or in TV, and you think they're going to be a better fit at the Geffen versus movies, can you suggest that? Or is it kind of just that they might get turned down for the job and go back into the pile, so to speak?
No, I think I could say a lot about internships, so much. First, don't get taken advantage of. There are plenty of paid internships now, truly. Yes, certainly don't pay. That is the thing that was in the theater industry. You pay to participate in an internship. It's the worst. Don't do that. Before you get an internship, look up the Department of Labor 7-factor balancing test. Department of Labor 7-factor balancing test. It tells you if an internship is legal or not, just as an FYI. Anyway, yes, internships are fantastic. In Los Angeles, we have the Getty Multicultural Internship Program and its sister program, the LA County Arts Internship Program. Together, it's more than 200 full-time paid internships in arts and culture in Los Angeles institutions every year. It is an incredible program. Please check it out. But in terms of one good rule of thumb, if you are very clear on what you want to do, look for an internship at a larger organization. I appreciate what Shonte is saying about like, you can shift around, but in general, bigger organizations mean that your job or your internship is going to be narrower. If you aren't really sure what area you want to go into, look for a smaller company or nonprofit or theater, because at a small nonprofit or small theater, you can go, can I go do that for a couple of days? Can I help with this? Can I do a grant? Can I work on the marketing? And that may not be possible in a large organization because everything is very specific. So when you're thinking about the kind of job or the kind of internship you want, think about, do you want breadth or do you want depth? If you're very clear, like this is my path, this is what I want, a big organization can serve you really well because you will get an in-depth experience in that. If you're more like, I don't know, I like this industry, it sounds cool, maybe look at smaller companies, smaller organizations that are going to give you a bigger opportunity to try basically anything that you want.
Did you guys do internships or trial? Were you a UN speaker intern? No.
What was I an intern? No,
Sure.
no. I started in such a bizarre way in a very, very small town in Canada. And so we didn't even have interns. But what I did do, I'll tell you this, sometimes you're going to find yourself in a position that you may have been moved to the front of the line, or you get an opportunity that you didn't expect. Sometimes that happens. And I was plagued with guilt about it because I had all of these people around me that I didn't study journalism. I didn't study communications at university. I didn't. And so I felt like so much resentment. So what I did to not only prove it to myself and to learn it, but also to show them that I took what I was doing seriously, I put myself through boot camp at that local TV station. I went out with every photographer. I had them explain the equipment they were using to me. I sat with the salespeople, the promotions people. I sat with the graphic artists. I sat with the audio techs. I learned how to put my own microphone on. I sat with writers and did boot camps on writing and learning how to write copy. I talked to the engineers to even figure out like how all of the wires, like why do they do all of the stuff they do? It really not only helped me feel like I was taking the craft of what I do seriously, and it made me better at my job, but it also earned the respect of my peers because they saw that I wasn't just somebody who was a dilettante who just got an opportunity and she was just like there for the paycheck or for the fame or whatever. Keep in mind, I'm old as dirt. So this was back in the 90s before like people were trying to be on TV. This was the early 90s. It's a long time ago. So it really made a difference all around. That's why I also like internships, because it gives you an opportunity to sort of dip your feet into those places. I know people who ended up working at places that they interned at. So don't take them lightly. They're gold. They really are.
Yeah, very much so. We're getting close. We're not there yet, but I just want to give fair warning that we're getting close to the end. So as I'm going to start speeding through some of the questions, I'm also curious for our students, if you could kind of either put in the chat or the Q&A, if you're interested in entertainment, and if so, what aspect of the arts and entertainment industry are you interested in? Writing, acting, journalism? Just curious. There's no right answer, just really curious. I had a great question. How do you deal with failures and rejections? And what advice would you give your younger self about communicating with people you have incompatible personalities with? That's a good question. It's twofer. This is kind of a round robin because we all have those issues.
Okay, I'll jump in because, because as a journalist, people want to talk politics with us, and that is rife for differing opinions. What I always try to do is remember, I'm a person of faith. I believe that we were all created in whatever, I think we're all talking to the same God, by the way. In whatever, I believe that every person was created, came to this planet, whatever you believe, equally. We all put our pants on one leg at a time. And I try to give everybody, even somebody who might be spewing some crazy stuff at me, they have a right to their opinion, as hard as it is. And I try to imagine they're a guest in my home. And I also try to imagine what I would say in front of my mother. And that helps me because I will never do something crazy in front of my, well, not too crazy.
Okay.
I'm trying to just remember, these are students listening to this, because Michaela, I aspired, that's why I'm not a journalist. Because, this industry does have a lot of very differing personalities, and creatives in general, we can be opinionated, and especially when it comes to like our art, right? And so I am respectful of people, but there's like the whole saying that we can agree to disagree as long as it's not rooted in my humanity. So the moment that it's like sexist, racist, homophobic, that is when you're going to, me personally, I'm probably going to politely check you, just so you know that that cannot come in my area. And I'm not saying that that is what should be done, because I'm about to be 40, and so I'm just at a point where like I can only have some energy, certain energy around me, and I am willing to not have certain jobs if I'm going to be in places where my humanity as a woman or as a Black person or whatever box is not respected, and not just mine, other people around me as well. So that is a difficult one, and everyone sort of has to figure out what that line is, but that's how I handle it.
Taylor, Shonte.
Going off of both of those, I think it's really important to know your values. And if you understand very clearly what your personal values are, it makes it easier to make decisions, and it makes it easier to protect your heart and protect yourself. I'm a fan of Brene Brown. If you're not familiar with her work, she helped me, her writing helped me a lot to understand what my values are. And my number one being transparency and honesty. And just knowing that helps me make decisions. It helps me deal with difficult people, because I always want to walk with kindness and transparency and honesty, right? So it makes it easier and therapy helps too.
Therapy does help, Camille. And I'm all about energy too, Brandi. So meditation, yoga, you just get to find yourself and see the real version of yourself. And that's what I do. I like to bring up the best version of myself. And if I see there's not good energy around me, I just exit out of that, protect my energy. Or, if there's someone else in the room, and I just make it clear that something's not right, or if something's like wrong, just kind of state that, and then just exit out of that and give everyone some space to kind of collect themselves, and maybe communicate that with your HR representative or whoever it might be, being that I'm an HR representative. So yeah, just protecting your energy. And with failure, you definitely not being too hard on yourself, since you guys are students. Trusting the process. I think someone mentioned that earlier. Definitely trusting the process and just preparing yourself is the best way to handle failure.
Totally different subject. What kind of hours do you do during the day? I mean, two of you are more in the office and two of you are not in the office as much? And what kind of, if for the office one, is it a 9 to 5? Is it a 9 to 12 at night kind of thing? What kind of days do you normally have?
Let me hit you with the knowledge that all y'all think that this job is very, very fancy and I get all access. Yeah, there's some nice little perks here and there, not as many as you might think. The coffee's bad and the hours are terrible. When I worked at CNN, my alarm clock went off at 2:20 in the morning. I would drive down Columbus Avenue watching people headed home from the club when I was on my way to work. And that cut me to the core, let me just tell you. So I would I would be at work and in makeup at 3 a.m., but then I was done by midday. And you'd think that you have the rest of the day, maybe you're falling asleep. I'm just telling you.
And you're researching for the next day.
I have the flip side, that I do have pretty regular hours. I drop my kids off at school. I go and I start my day at about 8:30, 4:30. I go pick the kids up. That's kind of a normal day, but then it's theater. So I go to all of our opening nights. I go to a lot of evening and weekend stuff. So it's probably about as 9 to 5 as you can have in the theater. And it does allow me to spend time with my kids, and have more of a consistent schedule.
As a writer, it's usually 10 a.m. till, well, when it's in person, it's like 10 to 6. On Zoom, it's pretty much 10 to 2. So it is very sweet hours. But then on set, that you can just set is just a completely different beast. There's rhyme and reason in that there are union rules where we have to have a certain turnaround, but there is no consistency when you're during the actual set time. So I very much appreciate when it's just the room. And then when you're on set, hey, you're fueled by coffee and you do what you gotta do.
Yeah, my role is really 9 to 6 type of schedule. We're hybrid right now, so that's really nice. There are a lot of recruiters that are remote, but yeah, right now we're hybrid 9 to 6, Monday to Friday.
And we actually just looked at the clock and we actually just hit the end. So any parting advice? That went really fast. Any parting advice? I mean, we covered so much territory that everything was great advice.
I actually typed this to somebody else in the Quest Q&A section, is that I remember distinctly being your age and being racked with worry and guilt about how I was going to figure all of this out, this whole adulting thing, and how come everybody else seems to know what they're doing and I don't, and I feel so confused and lost, and I felt paralyzed for a while. And so I'm just telling you from down the road a piece, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. You're part of this, right? You're here now. You're part of Fulfillment Fund family. You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine.
I'll just add, and this is not my quote, comparison is the thief of joy. And I have to remind myself that all the time because we each have our own path. So put that on your little sticky note as a daily affirmation. Comparison is the thief of joy.
I'm stealing that one.
So good. Follow your curiosity. You're going to be fine. Work hard. You're all good.
Having a positive attitude definitely makes your days. So maybe you see your attitude kind of going the negative route, just realign yourself, find a positive thing throughout the day, focus on that, and then focus on the next day and bring that positivity back.
Amazing. I have had an amazing time. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I hope our students have enjoyed it. I can't wait till next year when you guys come back.